Bernie Sanders has authored the American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act, which will destroy the AI industry in America. Now, I'm not sure if Bernie understands that. And there's something in this bill that he's not telling us that if we knew about it, and I'm going to tell you about it, we would say, Bernie, nah, get out of here with that.
Yeah!
Life is unpredictable.
Nice man Jackson down here at Top Gun Motor.
We can insure anyone.
For you. It's gonna totally take your breath away. Gonna send you right through the danger zone. Check me. I got a red car. I got black and red too. No money down.
Even him. Get approved. Link in the description.
Keep it rolling.
I probably don't need to tell you that artificial intelligence will almost certainly be the most transformational technology in the history of the world. It will profoundly affect the lives of every man, woman, and child in our country and, in fact, throughout the world.
He is 1000% correct about that.
It is already bringing significant changes to our economy, our democracy, our emotional well-being, our environment, and how we educate and raise our kids. There is also a very real fear that as AI becomes smarter than human beings, it could eventually function independent of human control with potentially catastrophic consequences.
Now, what he's talking about is not sci-fi. He's talking about artificial general intelligence, which is the next evolution of AI.
The question is not whether AI will change the world. It will. The question is who will own and control that future, who will benefit from it, and who will be hurt by it. Will AI be used to make life better for working families? Will it help us eliminate poverty, extend life expectancies, and help us solve the climate crisis?
I doubt it.
Or will the future of humanity be determined by a handful of billionaires who have developed AI to become even richer and more powerful than they are?
Well, Bernie, based on how things have been going, I would have to say yes. That's probably what will happen. And I'm not saying that I am a proponent of that. AI was supposed to come in, and maybe it still will, solve the common cold and come up with all kinds of answers to questions around scarcity, disease, other issues, economic and otherwise. But so far, we're not there yet.
That is the fundamental choice before us. And let us be clear. AI was not created out of thin air. The foundation of AI is our collective human intelligence. Let me repeat that. The foundation of AI is our collective human intelligence, our books, songs, artwork, journalism, computer code, scientific research, videos, conversations, images, and ideas spanning generations.
True to his socialist background, Bernie is not recognizing that a lot of the things that he just mentioned are considered intellectual property. I know Bernie doesn't like private property. You could say that there are works that are in the public domain, Shakespeare, for example, that do fit into what he's talking about. But you got to be very careful when talking to Bernie about issues of ownership, because he doesn't believe in ownership unless it has to do with him owning something.
As Sam Altman himself acknowledged, AI models were trained on our, quote, collective experience, knowledge, and learnings of humanity, end quote. The reality is that big tech oligarchs have fed this knowledge into their AI.
Be careful when they start using the buzzwords. This is the programming, oligarchs. So you're supposed to have a negative reaction to that word, the oligarchs. They used to just talk about oligarchs with regard to Russia, but now they have coined that term so well to have a negative connotation that they're applying it to wealthy people, wherever they may be.
AI models without permission, acknowledgement, or compensation. In other words, the creative work of millions and hundreds of millions of people has been stolen by the wealthiest people in the world.
And that, Bernie, is a cause for legal action if someone feels as though their intellectual property has or copyright has been violated. So with that, there's already a system in place. Then again, there's intellectual capital that's in the public domain, meaning that Shakespeare is not alive anymore, and his works have been out there free for the taking forever, for well beyond his death.
The time has come to reclaim what was stolen from us.
Got to be careful with Bernie. I totally agree that we need to figure out what the economic system is going to look like because, as I've said many times before, artificial general intelligence is not compatible with socialism or capitalism as we know them today. But when he starts saying stuff was stolen, he's falling back on that old tripe that he's so used to. And I think it's taken him away from looking at the situation as seriously as he needs to.
Since AI is built on the collective knowledge of humanity, the wealth it generates must benefit humanity, not just Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, and other billionaires, or the venture capitalists and Wall Street firms who see AI as the next great wealth extracting machine.
Now, here's where he gets into a proposal, a bill, a piece of legislation that, if passed, would destroy the AI industry in America.
And that is why,
and I'm going to tell you how.
In the coming weeks, I will introduce the American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. This legislation would give the public a direct ownership stake in the largest AI companies in America through a one-time 50% tax, not on profits, but on stock.
Now, he put that like, hey, we're not going to tax you on the profits. We're going to tax you on the stock. If it was a one-time tax on profit, then, okay, that's one thing. But when you tax the stock to the degree that he wants to, you're basically seizing a large percentage of the ownership of these companies.
Would do two extremely critical things. First, it would give the American people a direct role in determining the future of this technology. No longer would the future of AI be dictated by a handful of big tech oligarchs while the rest of the world sits back and watches them do what they want.
Okay, but how does that look? So he's saying that I'm going to have a stake in directing the future of AI. What does that mean exactly? Am I going to be able to walk into a boardroom and tell them what I want AI to work on? Or does he mean that legislators are going to take a more active role in the governing of private companies? That's what he means.
Secondly, it would guarantee that the trillions potentially created by AI are used to improve the lives of all of us, not simply to make the richest people on earth even richer.
Sure, Bernie. All right, so we're supposed to trust government with more money. We have a $40 trillion debt right now. The last thing a person like Bernie Sanders, who's a U.S. Senator, understands is how the economy works, especially Bernie, okay? Bernie doesn't come from a business background. All he's ever done is politics. He's never held a real job. And this is true. I'm not saying anything that's not true. This is not meant to castigate him. This is just a fact, all right? Doesn't know how the economy works, has never really participated in it at all, all right? Especially not from the standpoint of creating anything. He's had a government job all his life. So what does it translate into? All of this money that we're supposed to be getting from taxing 50% of the stocks of AI companies, which would be very dilutive to those shares. Okay, well, uh, the projected growth of this fund would be $7 trillion if the AI companies continue their current trajectory. Now, what Bernie wants to do is give everybody a $1,000 little bonus check every year, okay? And then take the rest of it and put it into government programs. And you know how that's going to look, right? 501c3s are going to get a whole lot fatter off of that.
And I have to tell you, this is not an original idea. OpenAI has proposed creating a public wealth fund to give every citizen a stake in AI-driven economic growth.
I don't think Bernie's had an original idea in his career.
Anthropic has proposed national sovereign wealth funds with stakes in AI. Elon Musk has said direct federal payments are the best response to AI-driven unemployment.
Which I disagree with.
Over 100 sovereign wealth funds already exist worldwide. Norway used its oil wealth to create a $2 trillion public fund. Alaska created a sovereign wealth fund that has paid dividends directly to residents for decades. Every year, people in Alaska get a piece of the action from their oil revenue.
All right, the population of Norway is 5.65 million people. Okay, so he is comparing this country, America, the United States of America, to, and we are a country of over 300 million people. He's not comparing apples to oranges. He's comparing oranges to carburetors.
Even President Trump has proposed establishing a United States sovereign wealth fund. The billions, if not trillions, generated by this legislation would provide direct payments to the American people and help guarantee health care, education, and housing as human rights. The principle is quite simple. When a public resource generates wealth, the public should share in that wealth.
Okay, so he is jumping ahead of himself and saying that he sees the future of AI as a public resource, taking it out of the hands of the private companies. This is classic socialism, seizing the means of production. Now, listen, I've done many videos on AI and the fact that, again, it's not compatible with our two dominant economic systems today, socialism or capitalism. Both require taxation, okay, whether you like it or not. One just allows you to keep some of the money and go perpetuate an economy. The other, if you look at what Zoran Mamdani is doing, for example, up in New York, it basically grinds the economy to a halt because the government starts to take over more and more of the means of production, like he's doing up there with apartment buildings, and it's driving the price of apartments through the roof. Now, I do agree that something needs to be done to address the imminent job losses that we're going to see from AI. I was on the Just a Guys podcast this Saturday. Many of you may have seen that. And our friend Gimpy, he was talking about the fact that a particular company had laid off a number of people, but they ended up bringing 20% of them back. Oh, well, I'm happy for the 20%, but that still leaves 80% that did not come back. All right, so the jury is still out on this. I do not agree with Bernie's idea here because it would destroy any reason whatsoever for anyone to invest in these AI companies. It would grind it to a halt. And look, I'm going to say this. China would take the lead. I'm not one of these people that thinks that we should abdicate our lands to data centers, or we should just throw the baby out with the bathwater to beat China at all cost. Okay, have some Pyrrhic victory at the end of the day. But it is true that we would no longer be even competitive with them if we followed Bernie's advice. So no on the American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. If I were a U.S. Senator, I would vote nay.